Hey guys, this is part 2 of really getting in the flow in preparation for your dressage tests and writing the best possible dressage test that you can. Yesterday we talked a little bit about learning your dressage tests and the importance of learning them and knowing them inside out, knowing them intricately. So I really hope that you've got a lot from that. Now, the next one that we're going to talk about today is visualizations. And this is something that some people really find quite difficult, that concept of visualization, because it seems quite close to meditation and it's a bit woo-woo kind of stuff. But it really isn't. It is simply structuring your mind so it's starting to process that test in a way that you want it to go. And if you're not visualizing your tests before you write them, you're already behind those that are before you start, because it's now quite common that people are visualizing their tests. Now, it can be done well, and it can also be done badly. There's a couple of keys to doing visualizations for your tests. Obviously, one is making sure that you're in a quiet space where you're not going to be disturbed and where you feel quite comfortable to really get into the visualization. So a lot of people do that the night before, or several nights before. This needs to be done in the lead up, because there's actually a bit of skill in being able to quieten your mind and get rid of all these busy, crazy thoughts that are coming in all the time, to be able to be quite focused on concentrating on the test itself. Now, that skill in itself is going to make a huge difference when you're writing your tests and you're being bombarded by all these other things coming in that aren't helping you, to be able to shut them off and say, right now, I don't need to be thinking about this. I need to be getting myself back into the zone. So that's a skill that you can be practicing 10 minutes, 15 minutes, before you go to sleep at bedtime. And it's a really important skill, and it's so easy to do. So getting yourself in a quiet place where you feel quite comfortable, you're not going to be disturbed. And it's really important that you try and feel it in your body. So the idea is that you're going to ride your dressage test in your mind. And it's not just a case of thinking, okay, I'm going to go up the center line and then I'm going to turn left, right, such and such, whatever. It's not like that. It's actually feeling it. So everybody will do this a little differently. Some will just feel it in their body. Some will visually see it. Some people will also have an auditory aspect to it. So they will hear the footfalls, and they will often sort of hear the horses breathing, and they will hear the movements and so forth. But the more that you can get yourself into that feeling of actually riding every stride and every movement. So, for example, say you're coming around a corner and you're preparing for a canter transition at K or whatever it may be. You're actually feeling the preparation for the corner. You're feeling the half halt. You're feeling them coming into your outside rein. You're feeling the engagement of the hindquarters. You're feeling the transition as the horse comes up and brings the outside hind into the canter lead. And it's quite fun and quite interesting. When you first start doing this, you'll actually notice that sometimes you keep riding bad transitions, or you keep riding bad corners. I noticed I certainly did this when I first started getting really good at it, is I would be riding a movement in my mind, but the movement was bad. Or it would be, I would feel them blocking in the inside rein, or I would feel them wanting to sort of rush out of a canter pirouette or a half foot or whatever it may be, and sort of not staying balanced and really light. And I'm like, wow, if I can't get it in my head, it's going to be so much harder when I'm writing it, because I can't even visualize. I can't even imagine what it is that I'm wanting to feel. So it's so important that in your mind, when you're visualizing these tests, you've got to visualize them written well. And if there is a movement, or if there is something that you're really struggling to feel it actually genuinely in your body, feeling what it feels like to do well, then that's something that you take back to your coach and say, wow, I'm really struggling with this particular movement. I'm not exactly sure what that is that I want to feel. I don't know what right and what great feels like. And then your coach is going to be able to help you through that and to identify what you're wanting it to feel, and to really make some links. Yes, that's it. That's the feel you want. Because then you can go back to your visualization and you can start to reinforce that feeling, and you can start to grow that feeling so it becomes on a more consistent basis. So that's the part number 2, is making sure that you're really feeling and really getting into that visualization, and making sure that that visualization is done really, really well. So I hope that helps. It's just a bit of an idea, but don't be afraid of it. Initially, when you start visualizing and really doing this, you probably will feel a little bit uncomfortable, uncertain, unsure, Totally okay, totally normal. We all went through that when we first started getting familiar with these kind of concepts. But now riders are at a state where it's such a higher level now, and certainly the mindset, riders are so much more aware of their mind, that if you're not taking these steps, you're already dropping down from where some of the other riders are, simply by the preparation that you're taking before your tests. So now we've already done 1 and 2. 1 is learn your tests. If you're going to a dressage competition and on the way there in the car, if you don't know that test inside out, then you're already behind the ball game. But if you've been visualizing and you visualize that test over and over and over again, and you visualize it written well over and over and over again, you already know your test because you've had to visualize it. It's now subconscious, and even the movements and the feelings and the engagements and the timings, everything there is subconscious. You're already thinking in your head, okay, if I know my circle is at E or at C, I know that I need to come 2 meters back from the RS. You've already got that in your mind. You're already planning. You can see exactly where you're going to ride to. So that's not going to come into your mind during your test. That allows more freedom and more free flow to start responding with what you're feeling at the present moment while you're riding your horse. And that practice of visualization, like I mentioned earlier, it's also going to allow for your brain, when it starts, all those worries and so forth start to come into your mind, you're actually able to close those off and really focus on what's in front of you, because you've been practicing that in your visualizations. So have a try, have some fun. Once you get used to it, you'll actually really enjoy it. And you can do this for so many different parts of your life. It's not only a dressage test. There's so many different ways that you can really use it to plan your next day, to prepare for something that you don't want to do, a conversation that you don't want to have. Oh, there's so many brilliant ways to it. But anyway, let's just work number 1 on your dressage test. Have fun.